How to do, folks? It's your old Uncle Jason here, serving you up a hearty spiritual meal. Today we're going to continue our little journey through the book of Isaiah, chapter 14. So let's get into it, shall we? For the Lord will have mercy upon Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land. And the stranger shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. And the people shall take them, and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. And it shall come to pass in the day that the Lord shall give thee rest from thy sorrow, and from thy fear, and from the hard bondage wherein thou wast made to serve, that thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon, and say, How hath the oppressor ceased, and the golden city ceased? The Lord hath broken the staff of the wicked, and the scepter of the rulers. He who smote the people with wrath, and with a continual stroke, he that ruled the nations with anger is persecuted, and none hindereth. The whole earth is at rest, and is quiet. They break forth into singing. Yea, the fir trees rejoice at thee, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, Since thou art laid down, no feller is come up. Hell from beneath is moved for thee, to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It hath raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. All they shall speak, and shall unto thee, and say unto thee, Art thou also become weak as thee? Art thou become like upon us? Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy vowels. The worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. How art thou fallen, O heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend up into the heaven, I shall exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation, in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee, and consider thee, saying, Is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake the kingdoms? That made the world as a wilderness, and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisoners. All the kings of the nations, even all of them, lie in glory, every one in his own house. But thou art cast out of thy grave like an abominable branch, and as the raiment of those that are slain, thrust through with a sword, that go down to the stones of the pit, as a carcass trodden under feet. Thou shalt not be joined with them in burial, because thou hast destroyed thy land, and slain thy people. The seed of evildoers shall never be renowned. Prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise, nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. For I will rise up against them, saith the Lord of hosts, and cut off from Babylon the name and raiment, and son and nephew, saith the Lord. I will also make it a possession for the bittern, and pools of water, and I will sweep it with the bosom of destruction, saith the Lord of hosts. The Lord of hosts hath sworn, saying, Surely as I have thought, also shall it come to pass, and as I have proposed, so shall it stand, that I will break the Assyrian in my land, and upon my mountains tread him under foot. Then shall his yoke depart from them, and his burden depart off of their shoulders. This is the purpose that is proposed upon the whole earth, and this is the hand that is stretched out upon all the nations. For the Lord of hosts hath proposed, and who shall disannul it? And his hand is stretched out, who shall turn it back? For the Lord of... In the year that the king Ahaz died, was this burden. Rejoice not, thou whole Palestina, because the rod of him that smote thee is broken. For out of the serpent's root shall come forth a cockatrice, and his fruit shall be a fiery flying serpent. And the firstborn of the poor shall feed, and the needy shall lie down in safety. And I will kill thy root with famine, and he shall slay thy raiment. How, O gate, cry, O city, thou whole Palestina, art dissolved, for there shall come from the north a smoke, and none shall be alone in his appointed time. What shall one then answer to the messengers of the nation? That the Lord hath founded Zion, and the poor of his people shall trust in it. Now I gotta say, folks, that's some heavy word mixed in there. It tells the story of the first fallen. We all know him as Satan, but his name is Lucifer. I encourage you to stop calling him Satan, because Satan means enemy, and that's too general. Call him out for what he is. That way your mind don't get caught up in imagery. That's another lesson that we all need to learn. Lucifer was not and is not a half-goat, viper-gated tail carrying a hay fork. He was and is one of the most beautiful angels that God ever created. That's why the Bible says he comes to you as an angel of light. He is cunning. He is very deceitful. He managed to convince a third of the hosts of heaven to rebel against the Creator, who knew because they literally saw him, that he was real. We don't know what all caused the fall and what caused that huge battle that cast him. As Christ said, I saw Satan fall to the earth as a lightning bolt. And it's one of those deals we don't know, and we may never know, but the point is, he rebelled against God and was cast down. Lifted up in pride he was. Let's try and avoid that ourselves. But we got to understand that Lucifer is the master deceiver, and he will get you in his clutches if he can. That's why you need to stay true to the Lord, stay clinging tight to him, and understand. And though you've been thrown in a position where you are under the chastising hand of God, like Israel was, keep in mind that even though we're Gentiles, and even if you are a new covenant believer, we've been grafted in with the seed of Abraham, because we are heirs and joint heirs with Christ. And you need to understand that. When it comes to being under the chastising hand of God, he chastens whom he loves. He allows it for a time, but then comes back with a vengeance to avenge his people, and an understanding that God is not mocked. Remember that whenever you see these folks on TV mocking sacred images and laughing to scorn Christians and Christ himself. Be not deceived, for God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, the same shall he reap. If you really reap to the flesh, you will reap damnation to your soul. If you sow to the flesh, you reap damnation to your soul. If you sow to the Spirit, you'll reap life, and life everlasting. That's a scary thought. The fact that God just ignores it and let the chips fall where they may. Imagine hitting somebody or something with all your might, and it doesn't even acknowledge your presence. That's how strong the Lord is. He suffers nonsense for a time, but then he avenges his people. So I'm going to let you go here, and I want you to contemplate today's chapter and make sure that you get it in your spirit. Otherwise, you might lose it. Rewatch the video again if you have to, and contemplate it. Pride caused Satan or Lucifer to fall. Remember that. So until we meet again, folks, stay safe, stay blessed, and as always, stay in the shadow of the Almighty. This is your old Uncle Jason, signing off.